quickly, you have to know something before this begins. You were the colonizers of the world a long time ago. Melons, pumpkins, corns, dragon fruits. And over here are, the bullied, who were colonized. I don't mind this little guy. He kind of just gets bullied constantly. Apple. These ugly things. This ugly thing. And this ugly thing. Yeah, that's kind of how it went. And let's just say these two, Pumpkin and Melon, had a huge war. Only dealing with a little colony that was owned by these guys that literally had nothing in it. Except a bit of resources. And yeah, you're probably shocked. Dragon fruits were actually a colonizer. They bullied tomatoes constantly. Or if this even is a tomato. Melon sandbox? What the hell is this thing? Anyway, that's what kind of happened. When both sides met with each other and agreed that they would both not colonize certain areas, they thought they would do that. Well, yeah, the Melons kind of broke that. Instead, they ended up actually declaring war, since they could never agree on anything with their pumpkin neighbors. Pumpkins hated that. And they swore that they would kill the Melons for what they just did. And so began the deployment of the soldiers. The pumpkins began going towards the front lines. The war now begins. Melons and pumpkins, they could not agree on anything, so they went off to war. And so began the battle. The battle was huge. It was filled with lots of gunfire, and then boom, explosion hit. The cup was firing, grenade launchers were firing. It was an all-out war, and yeah, the pumpkin thought they were winning. So one of the soldiers got a little cocky and ended up almost blowing up the entire base. One shot. Boom. One shot. So was the melon soldier instantly. He was cocky about it, but luck probably not luck, whatever. With the melons only soldier defeated, they were forced to retreat. The pumpkins instantly had to cut off artillery fire. The melons' artillery was left on, but that didn't matter, since their artillery would shoot up, the pumpkins charged the front lines, knowing that they could now take down the melons. They charged forward. Wanting to overthrow the base that the melons had captured, they came in, and yeah, they disabled the cup launcher. Why would they even ever use that, they probably wondered. But yeah, then they finished off the soldiers. Kind of a massacre, I guess, but yeah, it's pumpkin. What do you expect? They finished off the melons, banged them into a wall, and yeah, their bodies went flying. They actually hit one of the soldiers on his way over. Very questionable. And they smashed his body into the ground, and yeah, they continued their way on. But then, while the pumpkins were standing right there, they all unexpectedly walked into a trap. The melons were pissed off about just losing a war like that. So, they organized a trap. One of the best melon soldiers took a shot at them. But he messed up, and he messed up firing off the road. He fired one, boom! Even though he messed up, he still hit most of the soldiers, but he actually missed the most important one. But then what happened was horrible. All the soldiers ran out of weapons and prepared themselves to fight over the most legendary map, the backrooms. They went in. The melons went first. They sent in one soldier not knowing what was going to happen, but he flew in there. He charged the lines first. Meanwhile, the pumpkins thought just teaming up on him would be easy, so they attacked right back. And now began the first ever melee combat between both. The melon ended up getting his sword stuck in there for a couple seconds and charged him. The pumpkins deflected him, stabbing him in the head, but he stabbed him in the chest. And he retaliated, stabbing him through the head. It was a devastating blow. The pumpkins were more trained in melee. The melons are better with guns. But the pumpkins were winning. And as the pumpkins and melons continued battling it out, it was getting very, very brutal. Soon the other soldiers had to come in because the melons finally, let's just team on this guy. So he took out his knife and just did this. He attempted to unalive the pumpkin soldier. Way back here, the other pumpkins actually just kind of decided to actually fly in there and go back up their friend. Because, like, no one really wants their friend just being killed off. They were not really good at long-range combat, but they could do melee perfectly fine. And then they saw it. Their best soldier had been killed. By this evil melon with a stupid-ass knife. He pulled out his knife and threatened them. So, the battle began. They all began clumping up on the hallway as a huge war. The melons and pumpkins crashed into each other, and the melons won the battle. But now, it came all down to this. The pumpkin melon 1v1. Every single soldier had died, pretty much. And they were also fighting over these tribesmen and apples, who were just a local population that lived here. And so, they began fighting. The pumpkins instantly took a shot, going through all the apples, hitting them in the ankles. The melons retaliated to an apple and hit the pumpkin. The pumpkin was losing. He shot back. Missed the pumpkin. The melon shot back. Hit the apples. This pumpkin was not going to win this. He shot back. Mrs. Melon. He shot back. He shoots back. This was not going to end anytime soon. He began to shoot everywhere. Suddenly, he threw the apple bodies out of the way. This fork, you need to finish off this pumpkin. Melon walked up to this pumpkin, wanting to destroy him. He was already dead. The melons had wanted this guy dead for a while now. And finally, the war had ended. The melons had secured victory and can now rule the world without. After losing the Battle of the Melons, the pumpkins attacked an apartment building in the capital of the Melons, Melonsburg. They opened machine guns and took shots. It was a devastating attack. Melonsburg had lost half of its capital just to the pumpkins, showing the melons that the pumpkins were not that weak. Eventually, though, a ceasefire was signed, and that finally ended the First War. But as we all know, there were 6 wars that happened between these two. And here's what happened right after the ceasefire was signed. Leader stabbed Mr. Pumpkin over here. The pumpkins even more, but yeah, that's just kind of how it is. Slight end tensions if you're a melon, guys. This is nice information for you. Thanks for watching.